Well, High Commissioner, welcome. Can I start with the question of the ceasefire? We've now had a ceasefire for a few days. It was initially looking very shaky. We saw a number of violations, but over the last 12 to 24 hours, things seem a little bit calmer. What's your assessment? I know you're a long way from the front line here in Canberra, but is it your assessment that this ceasefire can now hold?
First of all, good day, Stephen, to you and to your viewers, and thank you for having me here. As for the ceasefire, you are absolutely right. In the first few hours, we had the violation of the ceasefire, which was worked out between the two Director Generals of the military operations of India and Pakistan, when the Pakistan DGMO called our DGMO on Saturday. Unfortunately, Pakistan violated it in the first few hours. But I think in the last few hours, it has held. And we hope that this will continue.
Is there now a cautious hope in New Delhi that we might be able to avoid an escalatory spiral from this point on?
Oh, not only hope, that's our policy, Stephen, because if you have seen, and I'm sure you and your viewers would have followed some of the statements coming out of Delhi, when we targeted specifically the terrorist infrastructure on the 7th of May, we made it very clear that this is, from our side, non-escalatory. We were focused, we were measured, we were very precise, and we also said that we are not targeting any military installations. We not only did not target them, we said this publicly. So non-escalation is what we had said in the beginning, and it dovetails into our priorities. Our priority is development. Our priority is to work for the growth of the people with the partners like Australia and other countries in the world. We are focused on that.
Now let's go back to first principles. Obviously, India launched these strikes on May 7, and this was in direct response to the horrendous terror attack that we saw on April 22nd in Kashmir. Now, India has maintained that these attacks were effectively orchestrated by the state of Pakistan. Now, the question I've got is, what is the precise evidence that India has substantiating that? Have you shared it yet with partners like Australia? And will you share it publicly at any point?
So can I answer your question, Stephen, at two levels? One is specific to the incident. There are intercepts electronically obtained that link the terrorists to their handlers in Pakistan. In fact, we waited for 14 days for Pakistan to take any action, and then only came May 7th. But in the meantime, we also picked up intelligence that more attacks on India were being planned. Generally speaking, in such cases, there are three types of evidence. One is the intercepts. The other is if we are able to capture a terrorist, which is very rare, then of course it's his testimony, and I will go to that in later part of the conversation. And if they die, during the operations during the terrorist attack that they launched, then there are DNA samples and the things that we recover from them, which often have Pakistani markings on them. From time to time in different terrorist attacks, and there have been, unfortunately, dozens and dozens of them only since 2000. More than 24,000 people have been killed in India as a result of these cross-border terrorist attacks. Only in the last few years, more than 1,000 people have been killed. So we have shared this thing with the international community. You would recall in the case of the horrific Mumbai terrorist attack in 2008, in which even some Australians were killed. We had shared this with the international community.
Australia obviously has a level of deep sympathy. It's aware of this history, as you know. It knows that India has been a victim of terrorist attacks, but it's also deeply worried about the risk of escalation. Now, the government's response here in Australia has been extremely careful. Foreign Minister Penny Wong has simply said that she doesn't want to see an escalation. She wants calm in the region. Unlike some other countries close to India, like France, Australia hasn't yet specifically said that India has a right to defend itself against terrorist attacks in its public statements. Would you like to see slightly stronger language from Australia along those lines?
Let me come to the Pahalgam terrorist attack, because you mentioned some of the things in that context. When the Pahalgam terrorist attack happened on the 22nd, and it was, as you know, an attack not only to kill civilians, tourists who were in Kashmir's tourism paradise. And by the way, 23 million people had visited Kashmir in last year alone. So its tourism was picking up. The idea was, by religiously segregating people and shooting them point blank in front of their families and identifying their religion in the crudest way, I don't want to say on the television how they were identified, but perhaps your viewers might have read it. The idea was to try and have a communal divide in India, to pull down Kashmir's economy, but none of this has happened. Now, coming to Australia, when I heard of Pahalgam and the tourism, what came to my mind? Bali. Bali 2002, Bali 2005. Number of Australians had lost their lives over there. As for Pahalgam in 2023, this year, when the attack took place, I think on 23rd April, the Prime Minister, Honorable Anthony Albanese, who was in the midst of a very intense election campaign, it is significant enough for the Prime Minister of Australia to take out time and call Mr. Modi on 23rd, condemn the attack as a terrorist attack in no unequivocal term.
So you believe that calls for restraint, whilst understandable, miss this narrative somehow, or miss that broader strategic...
Every time a terrorist attack happens in India, the focus is marginal. I am sorry to say this, in many areas in the world, the focus is marginal. In fact, at many places, it's not even called a terrorist attack. It is called, and people in India don't understand this, that why those attacks are not called terrorist attacks, whereas some other attacks in the world are called terrorist attacks. They are sometimes called militants, they are sometimes called gun attacks, they are sometimes called incidents. Look, if there is a zero tolerance on terrorism, then there has to be no free pass to any terrorist.
Is it understandable, though? I mean, High Commissioner, as you know, we're talking about two considerable powers, both nuclear armed. I mean, is it not understandable Australia's focus should be on de-escalation?
This is the other false narrative, and this is the other false equivalence, Stephen. By no amount of imagination, no stretch of imagination, you could put India and Pakistan on the same nuclear pedestal for 4 reasons. One, India has a declared policy of no first use of nuclear weapons. Pakistan does not, which means it can use nuclear weapons when it wants. So we are, as it is, very responsible, very restrained. We will not use the nuclear weapons in the first instance. Second, Pakistan occupied those nuclear weapons through clandestine processes, and in that it spawned a network of proliferation of nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction, which has caused, by the way, serious challenges for the closest allies of Australia itself. Third, Pakistan, as I explained, has spawned cross-border terrorism against India under a nuclear shield. Launch a terrorist attack, retrieve to the shield. If India will not take action, but if it takes an action, then cry wolf and say war, and then word will be focused on the war, obviously. So this is obviously, India does not do this. Fourth, I told you Mr. Bhutto's statement, they will eat grass, but may have a bomb of their own. I don't want to say, with all due respect, I don't know what they are eating. But you can see from 1970s where India is and where Pakistan is. So please don't equate India and Pakistan in terms of their having nuclear weapons. We are a very, very responsible nuclear power. Even to these terrorist attacks, which were conducted on us, our response was very measured. We targeted these structures, terrorist infrastructure of Jaish-e-Mohammed, of Lashkar-e-Toiba, which are designated terrorist designated organizations by United States, by US, by Australia itself.
Has Foreign Minister Wong and Minister Jaishankar, have they had a discussion?
I think they have been, if I may say so.
A few discussions?
They are the best of the buddies. And in the last Parliament's term, since Foreign Minister Wong took over, the Senator Wong took office as Foreign Minister, I think they have met 22 times. I won't be surprised if they are on WhatsApp. So I don't come to know of every conversation or every contact between them, but I do know that they have been in touch. Yes, you are right, Stephen.
And just finally, High Commissioner, this is not the most consequential question, but it is worth noting many Australians are probably aware a number of Australian cricket stars have essentially come back to Australia because the IPL, as you know, has been suspended due to the situation. Realistically, are they going to make it back to India? Can the IPL resume in the current moment? It's difficult to see it pushing ahead at this point in time.
It was difficult situation in India. There were obviously difficulties on our western side, and given that situation, I think it was a decision to postpone IPL for some time. I think perhaps a week. But I think that's a decision which the organizers will take. If Pakistan, look, I've told you, I've explained it, I think, that we are not interested in war. We are not interested in escalation. Our priority is development, our priority is economic growth, our priority is regional connectivity, our priority is to work ourselves with partners like Australia and multilaterally to contribute to the global good. We are focused on that very, very much. We are focused on making India a Viksit Bharat by 2047, a developed nation. We don't want these things. But if something happens, if cross-border terrorism is inflicted upon us, if military aggression is inflicted upon us, then of course the government has the duty to defend its citizens, to defend the country. Coming to the IPL, of course, I would also like to see the Australian players back over there, and I'm into that.
High Commissioner, thanks.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and have a good day.